What's up, guys? SimFBallCritic here, man. Just giving you something different. I want to talk about the Steelers, the 2014 season, as well as my predictions for the playoffs. As you can see, I just got some footage running here. This was a league game I was playing or what have you, just to give you something to look at. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and get right to it. I don't want to keep it too long, so we'll go ahead and get started. But basically, man, this is my assessment of the 2014 Pittsburgh Steelers. I told you guys from the beginning, after the first couple of games, I was kind of feeling a little way about the team, even in the first game with Cleveland. The offense came out. They were on fire in the first half. Second half, the defense looks like they can't stop anybody. Cleveland goes and they scores, like 24 points unanswered or what have you. And they almost came back in that game. We were up, I believe it was 24-3 at the half. They almost came back and won that game. And that showed me something. But like I've been saying, even on the radio show, I said a lot of times you got to wait till about week 5 or 6 before you know what you got in your team. And that'll really show you what you have. So defense, I'm feeling a little shaky from the start. We go to Carolina in week 3. We get that win. At that time, Carolina was, arguably one of the best defenses in the league. That's what they were being, pronounced as. We go down there and beat them handily. We get 2 100-yard rushes. And that just showed me right there that the team is so flip-flop, never in a million years would I imagine that we would be where we are now, finishing at 11-5. I, for one, didn't believe that. I like to call myself a true fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And not just the Steelers, I'm just saying, when you are a fan of your team, regardless of what sport it is, you know your team from top to bottom. You know the weaknesses, you know the strengths, you know the team in and out. And I always said, if you've been listening on the show, that my team is a little shaky, as far as defense. We still are. And I've always said that in this season, the offense will have to be what carries us to victory. And look at the games that we won. Who would have thought that we'd be able to win against the Texans, the Colts, and the Ravens? All of those games back to back, they were at home, so that helped. But look at the points we put up in those games, particularly the Colts game and the Ravens. We put up 51 on the Colts and put up 43 on the Ravens after the Ravens gave us a pretty good whooping in week 2. It's like it's like a team that we have somewhat of an identity, but sometimes we don't bring the identity, if that makes sense. This year, the Steelers look like a team that just has a powerful offense. Defense can do just enough to keep you in the game, but our secondary is a little weak. Let's call it what it is. Our secondary is very weak. William Gay has been our best corner all year, and arguably a lot of people would say, how many times have we complained about William Gay in the past? This year, he turns out to be the best corner we have. As much as I love Ike Taylor is just, in my opinion, I think he's past his prime, man. The writing has been on the wall for the last few years. He's past his prime. He doesn't have it anymore. Maybe we can move him to safety or something, I don't know. I'm just pulling that idea out of a hat. But, maybe we could do something like they did with Charles Woodson to keep him on the field later in his career. But Ike Taylor doesn't really have it. Cortez Allen, this is a guy that I thought had potential. You guys remember when, 2 years or so ago, when he was playing in the slot, they were basically calling him the best slot corner in the business. Now, this year he comes out on the island. He starts on the island by himself, and he got exposed. He got exposed pretty bad to the point to where Coach Tomlin and Dick LeBeau and those guys had to pull him out of there. Right now, we're dealing with Bryce McCain, which he is a savvy veteran. He's not a great player. We all know that. He's a solid player, but he's not great at the cornerback position. He makes enough plays. I appreciate him for that. Then you got Antoine Blake, which, he's undersized. Very fast guy, hard-hitting guy. But he's undersized, and you've seen him have some pretty decent games here of late. But, going forward, is that the type of guy that you want to say is your starting cornerback? I don't know. Maybe he will get a lot better and compensate for his size, the lack of size. But let's be honest, man, with these big receivers out here in today's NFL, you need somebody who can get in there and bang and, get that press coverage game going. So, overall, man, I just feel like I'm very proud of the team, man. For them going 11-5, Coach Tomlin being able to get back into the playoffs. But that's another thing. Everybody was ready to write him off, and some of you people may still feel that way. You think he's not a good coach. In my opinion, I think he's a great coach. Do I agree with everything? No, not necessarily. One of the things I don't always agree with is I think, to me, it appears he doesn't always use his global power, to make executive decisions. But you come to find out sometimes after games there are things that he has, that he does make the call. So I could be wrong there. But other than that, I don't really have a lot of problem with Coach Tomlin. I think he is a player's coach. I think guys like to play for him. He shows a great deal of intensity. Great coach. Same guy who won a Super Bowl and went to a second. It's the same guy, same philosophy. So it's just funny to see how some fans, as soon as we start losing, they're ready to write people off. And, that's just how it goes. But other than that, man, I think playoff run, let me see, man. I see it like this. I think we might be able to do enough to get past Baltimore. We put the ball in the air. We're going to have to do that because Baltimore also, their secondary is a little suspect. But it's going to be a classic, Ravens-Steelers battle. Either one of us could come out on top. Let's, not kid ourselves. But I think we might have enough to edge them out. Now, if Le'Veon Bell is not playing, that's going to be a big blow, a huge blow. But keep in mind, in the 2 games that we played the Ravens this year, Le'Veon only had 79 yards on the ground. So that shows you where we actually were able to beat the Ravens when we did beat them, was in the air. Ben throws an incredible, astronomical 6 touchdowns. How rare is that on a Ravens defense? But, that's why I feel like we may have enough to get past the Ravens. We'll see. But then after that, we're talking about going to Denver. Now, Denver doesn't scare me that much after watching the Cincinnati game as far as their defense. But what does scare me is their offense. They can get going with, the 2 Thomases, the Thomas brothers or whatever you want to call them. Emmanuel Sanders, Wes Welker, a couple other guys that they throw in the mix here and there. That could cause a big problem for our secondary on the road. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to be one of them fans that's going to sit here and say, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. I don't know, man. That still remains to be seen. I'm just happy that we've gotten into the playoffs and keeping it very realistic. I think we have a chance. If we can keep that offense hot, score a lot of points, I think we can play with anybody. But it's going to come down to our defense. The pressure is going to have to help out the back end because the back end, let's be honest, is really not that good. In my personal opinion, man, I think even if Ike Taylor and Troy Polamalu, if they're both, back healthy and ready to go, I would say go ahead and stick with the guys we got. Maybe throw them in there for some package situations or, to spell somebody else. But I figured go with what we got. The defense has been playing pretty well here lately. Don't disrupt that. And in my opinion, I think it's a time for a new era anyway with those guys. I love them to death for what they've done for us. But, hey, everybody has their day. Same thing I'll say about Polamalu as I said about Ike. Maybe it's time to move him to free safety. Maybe Mike Mitchell can play strong or whatever. But, we may have to find some different things or put him in the sub package like we did last year. When we were down kind of weak in the secondary, a lot of times they'd put Polamalu at sub linebacker. That might work. But I think him as well as Ike, man, their best days are behind them. But I know I may be going on a little long here, guys, but I just want to get up something, man. A lot of people have been asking me on Twitter and things of that nature how I'm feeling about the season. They've been following what I've been saying about the team, so just thought I'd go ahead and get that out. So, long story short, man, just to sum it up again, proud of the team, man. I didn't think we were 11-5 team. I didn't think that. They've proved me wrong. Looks like that when they come together and play solid football from top to bottom, all 3 phases, defense, offense, special teams, I think we can play with anybody. The weak spot is definitely going to be our defense, and particularly the secondary. That will determine how far we're able to go. But if the offense can keep going and, they've proven that they can strike, when whenever they want. In that Bengals game, the first one in Cincinnati, how we put up 25 points in one quarter. So they've shown that they can get going. We could be a problem to stop, but it's going to come down to the defense. So we'll see. So, all right, guys. So we win this playoff game, I may be coming back and giving you an update. Either or. We win or lose, I may come back and give you another little assessment. But that's all I got for you guys right now. And like always, let me know what you think. Don't forget, guys, every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sim Standard Radio. If you want to give us a call, you can reach us at 914-338-0794.